For the last 25 years, I'm not the person you might think I am. I'm not Brad Brown. I know that's a really weird way to start a video, but that's the truth. My name is not Brad Brown. And if this is weird for you, I can guarantee you it's even weirder for me. So I want to share a couple of reasons why I'm telling you this today, but I also just want to give you a bit of a backstory of how this all came about. A lot of you would know me from my radio career. I've been super blessed. I had a 20-year radio career, got to work with some of the biggest, or work on some of the biggest radio stations in South Africa. My first job in radio was back at a little community radio station called Horizon Stereo, which closed many years ago. But I ended up getting a job at that radio station purely by fluke. I just started on campus radio, and a friend of mine was the lead singer in a band, and he had an interview at this radio station, and I was just getting into radio and wanted to see what their studios looked like. So I went along, and at that interview, the guy who was doing the afternoon drive at the time said to me, "Oh, what do you do in the band?" And I said to him, No, I'm not in the band. I'm actually a DJ, and I just wanted to see what your studios look like. And he said to me, "Oh, we're actually looking for somebody to sort of co-host the show with me. What's your name?" And before I could say anything, the guy who was the lead singer of the band said, Brad Brown. And that's pretty much how it started. I'd worked for Horizon for a couple of years, and then I auditioned for what was then the largest commercial radio station in Gauteng called 94.7 Highveld Stereo. And the first show that I did was an overnight weekend show, and I decided that I was going to use my real surname. And after each of those early shows, we used to sit down with the programming manager and the station manager and critique the show to see what was working and what wasn't working, and how you could improve. And the station manager at the time was a guy by the name of Ravi Naidu, who is still with Prime Media and 947 in Johannesburg. And our programming manager was a guy by the name of Simon Parkinson, who you may recognize. He's the breakfast jock on Hot in Johannesburg at the moment. And I remember sitting with Ravi and Parky, and they were like, "You know what, have you ever thought of using a different name, because your real surname is like really weird?" And I was like, "Funny you should say that, because I actually did use a different surname on the community station, and I told them I'd use Brad Brown." And they were like, "No, don't like Brad Brown, doesn't work, we need to find something else." And I remember sitting in Parky's office, and they were flicking through a Billboard magazine, the music magazine that has like all the latest music in that. And at the time, Avril Lavigne was really big. She had a song called Skater Boy, and they were like, "Brad Levine," and they were like, "No, that doesn't work." And then P Diddy was really big as well, and they were like, "What about Brad Diddy?" And they were like, "No, that doesn't work either." So they were going through, literally flicking through every page, every single artist that was big back in the early 2000s, and they were like, "Nope, it doesn't work, just stick with Brad Brown." And that's how it stuck. And 20 odd years later, I was still using Brad Brown on radio. I had left Prime Media after a pretty good run there, joined the state broadcaster, the SABC. I was working for a national talk station called SAFM. And it was towards the end of my radio career, I started building an online business with a friend of mine by the name of Lindsay Parry. Some of you may know me from coachparry.com. It's an online coaching business. We help runners around the world become fitter, faster, and stronger. And I then got to a point where I was quite disillusioned with traditional media and wasn't enjoying what I was doing in radio. I was on the breakfast show. From the outside, it looked super successful. I was on the breakfast show of a national talk station. And in 2018, I decided I was going to pack it in and go full-time into Coach Parry, which is what I did. And like any business, we go through patches where we do fantastically well, and we go through patches where maybe things aren't going according to plan. But I wouldn't change it for the world. But one thing has been a bit weird over the last 5 years, because I was using the name Brad Brown on radio. It's pretty much stuck into, because those two worlds overlapped, it's pretty much stuck into what I've done with Coach Parry. But I'm at a point now where I'm never going back to be on radio. It was cool at the time because it allowed me to sort of keep my radio life and my personal life separate. My kids weren't in the limelight, which is quite cool. So it allowed me to do that. But I'm at the point now where it doesn't really matter. I'm building a business with Lindsay that I'm super proud of, and I'm building it under a name that's not me, that I don't feel authentic about what I'm doing, operating on a name that's not mine. And one of the reasons I'm doing this video is because we're sitting into the situation at the moment that I leave for London this week. I'm running the London Marathon this weekend, and we've got a lot of people within our business wanting to track me. And in the past, where I've done races like Comrades, or if I've done an Ironman, I haven't actually shared my number publicly, because in these events, you have to race under your real name for various reasons. One of them being medical, that if something happens to me and I need to go to hospital, they need to know what my real name is, and they need to know my medical history. So I haven't actually shared my numbers. Not that I didn't want people to track me, I just didn't want people to know what my real name was. So I've got to the point now where it actually doesn't matter. Like, I'm super proud of what we've built at Coach Parry, and funnily enough, my dad is, or in his prime, was a big runner as well. He's run multiple comrades, so I've done stuff with comrades that I'm super proud of, that people in my family don't associate with me because it's not under my real name. So I want to change that, and I'm changing my name back to what my real surname is. So pretty much from today, I'm going to be known as Brad Nadalt again, which is quite weird. So it's Nadauld. I'm going to change all my social profiles. So if you see a change in name, that's the reason why. Like I said, it's probably more weird for me than it is for you, but I need to put this out there, and I'll probably still reply. If you run past me and say, hey, Brad Brown, I'll probably still say hi, but just wanted to share with you why I'm doing it and what the backstory is. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this, and I look forward to catching up again soon.